Hey everyone, Jeff here from Films at Home, and today we've got another classic 4K to review from the Warner Brothers Vault. Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the channel today for this 4K review. Today we're taking a look at Rebel Without a Cause, the James Dean classic, part of the Warner Brothers 100th anniversary celebration here on 4K for the very first time. In this review, we'll dive into the video quality, the audio quality, we'll talk about the packaging and the special features, and give you guys a recommendation on whether or not this one is worth picking up and upgrading in your movie collection. So to kick things off briefly, let's just talk about the movie. Rebel Without a Cause is probably the movie that James Dean is most well known for. He had other movies after this, he had other movies before this, but when you think James Dean, most people think Rebel Without a Cause. It's sort of his iconic role, and unfortunately, because he died so young, we only have a handful of those to pick from, so this often becomes the pick. He is excellent in this. It's a really interesting look at 1950s suburban America, what happened to this generation of kids that grew up during and after World War II, and sort of the generational shifts and changes that created, and really this like completely different shift in mindset and thinking. And it's a really interesting snapshot of that time period in US history, and James Dean is great in his role. It also has Natalie Wood, another actress who unfortunately died pretty young too. I think you could probably ask Christopher Walken about that one, and maybe what happened on the boat. There's some conspiracy stuff there, but it's sort of, I don't know if I'd call it like a cursed movie, but James Dean also starring Natalie Wood is what it says on the front, and both of them combined barely lived 70 years. So it's just really sad that both of their lives were cut so short, and that's what I think of when I think of this movie. But it also is just a great snapshot of that time period, and for me, somebody who obviously is well removed from that time period, it's a very interesting look at it, and a cultural piece that I think is super important even for newer generations, Generation X, Y, Z, whatever you want to call us. It's important to look back at this time because it's still very relevant today. So Rebel Without a Cause, presented here on 4K by Warner Brothers, and I'll say this, it is not going to be a reference quality disc for you. And this is, again, not a knock against this disc and this transfer in particular, but it is a knock against the movie, the source, how it was originally shot. None of those things really lend itself well to 4K, it seems, because I have the Blu-ray release. I had a box set of James Dean movies. I compared the two. This is definitely a step forward with HDR, especially bringing out some of the highlights and some better color, but it's not a dramatic leap forward. If you have the Blu-ray, you probably noticed that some of the shots can be a little bit soft, almost out of focus at times. The grain is pretty heavy. It all just comes back to the lenses that they use, these anamorphic lenses. It comes back to how pristine and how well preserved the source was, the lighting that was used. I kind of look at this in the same way that I looked at Cool Hand Luke, where this is by far the best that this movie has ever looked, probably the best this movie will ever look on any format, period. But the movie itself just isn't that pretty of a movie for you to have like this reference quality 5 out of 5 video material. A lot of the scenes in this are sort of shot outside, or it looks like they were kind of shot with daylight, and I think sometimes that affects, like if you don't have a controlled environment in a studio, it's going to give you a grittier, more lifelike picture, and that's what you get here. It's borderline, like it looks like a documentary out of like the 50s sometimes. Like it really does look like you're transported back to that time period, but it's not going to be as pristine as some other movies from the 50s, 60s, 70s. But in the context of this movie, and that's what we have to remember, every movie is shot differently, different cameras, different techniques, different just quality of the film source. Like everything changes movie to movie, so we can't compare apples to oranges. If we look at the context of this movie and its history on home video, this is the best that it's ever looked. It is a nice step forward over the Blu-ray. It's not a massive improvement, it's not a massive upgrade, but if you enjoy this movie and you want the best possible visual presentation, this is going to be it. Now on the audio side, we get a pretty solid Dolby Atmos track here, and while there isn't a whole lot that's going to stand out with the Atmos, I thought it does give some nice balance to the audio. I thought the dialogue was balanced. balanced a little bit better than the Blu-ray. I thought that some of the surround effects were balanced a little bit better. It just feels a little bit more, put together than maybe some of the other tracks. Like it's a little more complete, and you definitely get that sort of immersive, sound bubble over your seating, which is always a good thing. That's what I want with Atmos, is I want that immersive sound that's not just, okay, surrounds here, backs here, whatever. It's going to actually move around the sound space using those speakers. So I enjoyed that. Like, I think it was an immersive experience for as limited as you can really get with a movie like this from the 50s. It's pretty decent. Some of the music was very good. But when I watch these movies, the big thing I always focus on is the dialogue, because dialogue, it can be hit or miss on many of these older movies, and it was very strong here. So that indicates that this is a well-mixed audio track, a well-mixed Atmos track, and I was happy with that. Now for the packaging, you get this new artwork with the Warner Brothers 100th anniversary slipcover celebrating the 100th anniversary of the studio. I don't mind it. I actually think it's kind of nice. It's a little bit of retro feel. Opening this up, same artwork on the inside, just zoomed in a little bit. And then you get both your 4K and your Blu-ray disc, and there is a digital code as well, which will redeem in 4K. Now for the special features, there's only one feature on the 4K disc. It's a commentary by Douglas Rathgeb. I hope I'm getting his name right, but he's the author of the making of Rebel Without a Cause. He has some very interesting insights on this movie as you listen to it. And of course, being so old, it's hard to get commentary tracks from people who are actually involved. So this is your next best source, right? Somebody who wrote all about the movie. Now, also on the Blu-ray disc, you get the documentaries Rebel Without a Cause, Defiant Innocence, and James Dean Remembered, which are great. Dennis Hopper, Memories from the Warner Lot, is very cool. There are additional scenes, but those don't have any sound, so it's kind of odd. But if you want to see a little bit extra just visual, that's there. There's a theatrical trailer as well, and a few other small features. So it brings over all the stuff that you're used to. It adds that commentary track with the author of that making of book, which is interesting, but it at least retains a lot of the legacy features. So overall, I think this one is going to come down to your budget, your collection preferences, and your movie preferences. If you love Rebel Without a Cause, then you're going to want to own this on 4K. It's the best it's ever looked. It's the best it ever will look on a physical format, and you're going to want to preserve it in that highest possible format. Now, if you don't love this movie so much, if you've never watched it before, if you own the Blu-ray, I'd say maybe give the Blu-ray a watch first. If you enjoy the movie, consider upgrading. If you don't like the movie, this one's probably not worth upgrading to 4K for you. You can hang on to that Blu-ray, or if you don't like it, you could trade it in. But I'd say that this is going to be one for, the hardcore fans. If you've never bought the movie before and you want to try it, 4K is a great way to try it. And if you are a purist who always wants the highest quality release, this is that. So if you are one of those people who has to upgrade every Blu-ray to 4K, only if they're worth it, this is a case where this is definitely worth it. You're getting a better experience. But for the average person out there, I could see this going either way. So it's really going to come down to you and your budget, how you want to spend your money, which titles you want to pick up. But I think this is a very good job by Warner Brothers, and with what they were able to work with, they put out a very nice 4K release, so props to them. Now, if you do want to pick this one up, there'll be a link in the description and in the pinned comment where you can buy this on Amazon. That helps support my channel. As always, I appreciate that very much. It supports the content and everything I do passively. Plus, you're going to order it anyway, so hey, why not try my link? I appreciate that. So if you guys want to make sure you get all the latest reviews and videos like this, make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. Also, check out the Films at Home podcast, where we have tons of interviews with collectors and directors and people who work on behind the scenes of Blu-ray labels and special features, all that fun stuff. And make sure you follow me on social media for all the latest from me and my channel and my life. All those links are in the description. So thank you for watching this review. Go check out Rebel Without a Cause on 4K from Warner Brothers. They've been doing great work lately. And stay safe, stay healthy out there, and I will talk to you all soon.